We try to make a duck call that's as close to what we think is perfect as possible. The highest thing that we're trying to do is be consistent and do that over and over, because they're just a tool and they don't last forever.
That's right.
And so what matters most is not whether this one duck call is the perfect duck call. What matters is that if you like this duck call, you can tell your friend you like that duck call, and I can send your friend the exact same thing. And so the call makers who make a living at and who rise to the top are the ones who can be very consistent and do the same thing over and over and over. And so that's not to downplay the quality of the sound, because that does really matter. But the ability to replicate that over and over, that's where the real science comes in.
Yeah. Hey, welcome back to the Buck Junkies podcast. I'm your host, Malcolm Reed, and got Mikey here with me today. And Mikey, we got some special guests, don't we?
We do.
Yeah, we've got our friends from Rolling Thunder Game Calls here, Mr. Spence Halford, Jacob German. Spence, how's it going, man?
Good, man. Glad for a little break in this ridiculous heat.
Oh, man, it does feel pretty good out there today.
Hope in the fall.
I was looking at the weather. It's going to be, not quite 90 there for a few days. So that's going to be
after 118 degrees. That feels this a welcome reprieve.
That's right. Well, a little bit about Spence, y'all. He's a hardcore duck hunter, legit call maker, one of the most genuine men that I've met in the hunting industry. Spence is the man behind Rolling Thunder Game Calls and Rogue Ammunition, right?
Yeah. Well,
all right. And you got your buddy Jacob German here. He's the
brains.
The brains behind it. What's the official title? Is it director of marketing or?
Official title is director of direct to consumer.
Director of direct to consumer.
Anything that's online or Shopify.
Well,
social media.
Most startups, though, we add things to his plate every day.
I know. We know how that is. We got a small operation, so they got to fall to somebody, don't they?
That's right.
But so we got introduced to Rolling Thunder through an event y'all were doing out at your headquarters in Somerville, Tennessee. Yep. And I know you do a lot of, besides just making some awesome calls in the duck and the turkey hunting industries and making some ammunition, you do a lot of charity stuff too. So we wanted you to come on today and talk a little bit about the history of Rolling Thunder and, kind of all that. And I think it's going to be a real exciting podcast.
Yeah. Glad to. So
let's start off, Spence. Tell us a little bit about how you got into duck hunting and how Rolling Thunder kind of came about.
A great question. I started duck hunting just probably like most everybody. Somebody took me, and my dad he didn't grow up duck hunting. He started he got interested in it as an adult.
Yeah.
And I think now we call that a adult onset hunter. And I was really little. So we kind of, interestingly enough, learned to hunt together. That's what we tell people. He was a little ahead of me in the duck hunting, but we learned to turkey hunt together kind of along the same path. And, that's what both of my heroes did, my dad and my uncle. And when your heroes do something, you just want to be like your heroes, And, from a really early age, I was just obsessed with duck calls. And the first thing somebody that duck hunts does when they get a duck call is they take it apart and try to figure out how it's made, how it works. And so I just remember as a little kid taking calls apart and trying to figure out why one sounded the one way and another one sounded a different way. And fast forward into about 10 years of marriage, and I needed a good, viable excuse to explain to my wife why I should get to go hunting every day. And about the only good excuse you can tell your wife or something like that is, this is part of my work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that what drew you into making those custom calls?
I first started making calls just because I was obsessed with the old vintage PS Olds, and I was buying them on eBay. This was in the early 2000s. And I would take them and modify them and then, give them to friends. And I wasn't trying to sell them, but, I learned that if you could call loud and call aggressive and more raspy and, it was a different sound than what other people were blowing. If you could get all your buddies in your group to sound the same way and put a tool in their hand, it made a big difference in terms of how many ducks we could kill. And so we were just, college age kids that really wanted to thump our chest and tell everybody we were better than them.
Yeah.
So we were just looking for an advantage, in terms of duck calling. That led to the kind of in about from 05 to 08, there was kind of an internet craze on a lot of these web forums about the old cut down olds. And so the price of them went through the roof on eBay, and it got where it was $200+ to buy an old antique call that might be cracked or might be broken. And you were just, you were taking a big gamble. Mm-hmm. We didn't have gas money to go hunting, much less to buy a $200 relic off of eBay. And one thing led to another, and my best friend suggested that he help me build an injection mold. And so I took one of these calls that I had built, my very favorite one, and we built an injection mold to be able to repeat that process over and over and over. And, we decided we might as well try to sell these things. And here we are 15 years later.
So how difficult was it back then just to get a foothold in the industry when you first started out? Was it a struggle the whole way, or was it come right to the top?
No, it definitely wasn't. It was not well received at first. We were the second company, and I guess you could call it a company. I mean, we're talking about shoe boxes and an unair conditioned garage. So we were not trying to make a living.
Yeah,
I had a regular job.
It was still a hobby then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that helps. Nothing like the pressure of having to pay bills to sink a business, right? So it was strictly just a hobby when we started. But when we started, the idea of a cut down was not popular at all. People would roll their eyes and tell you that was crazy. That's not how duck sounded, and that's not the way a duck call ought to sound. And one guy told me, it was like, that's a micro niche, that's a regional product. Good luck selling them outside of Tennessee, Arkansas, and Mississippi.
Yeah.
And he was wrong. You can ask any of the current call makers out there, the people that make a living in duck calls. Cut downs as a category is by far their number one most popular selling call. That's R&T, Echo. I mean, go down the list. So
do you feel like Rolling Thunder had a part, or y'all had a part in that, bringing it back to the forefront?
Boy, that feels awfully arrogant to say that, but yes, there's no doubt in my mind that we played an instrumental role in making that. I think R&T played a big role too, and I would give them probably more credit than us because they were such a larger brand at the time. But in the early days, we tried to attack the market like we were the entry-level drug, first hits on us, last hits on them, because they introduced the Mondo about 2 or 2.5 years after we started selling a molded cut down. We were selling a $40 call, and they were selling a $130 call. So we kind of had a running joke that, it was like, hey, we'll be the entry level and they'll be, the acrylic one and higher level. And I feel like they brought some national awareness to kind of what we were both doing. And we offered some entry level dollars of credibility to what they were doing. So somebody would try one of ours and then go buy one of theirs. And at the end of the day, that's a pretty cool economy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's kind of rising tides, floats all the boats.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So is that the very first call y'all produced, or that you remember building? I mean, did you build another call before you got into building those cut down calls, or is it just?
No, yeah, that's the first call that I built. I guess you could say it that way. I didn't start building calls like as a craft with a wood lathe, like a lot of what I would call more folk art, kind of call makers did. So when I started trying to make duck calls, what I was doing was I was taking a blank tone board and I was shaping the end of it, which is kind of, most guys do it the other way around. They learn how to turn the shape of a barrel,
right,
which really doesn't affect the sound, and they use somebody else's stopper until they get confident with the lathe, and they try to make their stoppers. They kind of do it the other way around, and I think that helped me be a better call maker because I was being forced to modify the actual noise making end of the call, and so you had to learn the hard way.
Yeah. So was it trial and error for you? Like, where did the experience come from?
Absolutely. Just trial and error, and trying to figure out what works, trying to replicate that, trying to, again, at the end of the day, we were just really trying to be more successful while we were out there hunting. We only had so many days to hunt. And so my theory was there's 8 guys in our hunting party, everybody needs to be doing what is the most effective thing.
Yeah,
So I was buying them and giving them to my buddies. Like, you have to, if you're going to hunt here, you got to blow this.
So you said y'all started out did you start out like in your garage or a shop that was right by the house?
So we actually started, the first couple dozen that I cut were actually in a basement apartment in St. Louis, Missouri. I was in seminary, and that also played into it. I needed a break from trying to translate the good Lord's gospel from Hebrew and Greek, the duck language. And so that's kind of where we got our initial start. And then from there, I moved into my dad's barn for a little while. And then when we really got going selling them, it migrated up to my garage. And I was there for 7 years.
I was just curious if you was married at the time. If when you're building these duck calls, you're sitting in there blowing them, like how your wife responded to you calling like on these duck calls each and every day.
Yeah, when it was just a hobby, it was not very well received.
Yeah.
When it was part of how we put food on the table, it softened it a little bit. It still was not, midnight duck calling was still not very well received. But
when the checks hit the mailbox, it was a little better.
It's funny you ask that, because through the years when the company lived in my garage, I worked a regular job all day long. And so I would come home and I'd eat dinner with the family, and then I'd go out and work in the garage till 10, 11, 12 o'clock, because the only time I worked nearly 45 minutes from home. So the only opportunity for me to ship stuff was whatever I got done the night before. I'd carry it in town, drop it off the post office. Well, to this day, my wife can tell you what a good duck call sounds like as well as any grown man I've ever been around. I mean, she can hear one and say, that one's right, that one's not right.
Yeah.
She can't tell you why one's right over another, but
she can hear it.
And all 3 of my kids, it's good memories thinking about them laying in bed listening, because they could definitely hear it inside the house.
Well, y'all make custom calls too. So what is the most oddest or unique custom call y'all have had to make?
Good question. Probably this most recent one. We just did one that was shaped like a popsicle, like the old patriotic bomb pop.
Yeah.
And
the red, white, and blue bomb pop.
That's right. It had 3-dimensional, the fins down the side of it, and it was tapered on the front end, like a popsicle. And that one probably was as far out of the box as about anything I can think that we've done. We've kind of been pretty traditional in terms of our whole product line.
So tell us a little bit about what makes a good sounding duck call, and then kind of what that process would be like to build one.
Sure. Well, so, a duck call has a tongue, just like a duck has a tongue, or like we have a tongue. And in order for that duck call to quack, the reed has to go up and it has to come down. And you can line up 100 people that'll tell you it's when the reed comes down that makes the noise, and when the reed comes up that makes the noise. And I'll be honest with you, I don't have a clue which one it is, whether it's up or down. I know it has to make the whole motion in order for it to make a quack. But the quack is literally air that's blown across that tone board, and that tone board has a slope, and it lifts a plastic mylar reed up, and then it slaps that tone board. And so it's popping up and down as you blow air through the call, and that's what produces the quack. And so the things that make a duck call make different sounds one call from another would be the material, like the density of it and the texture of it. If it's a smooth surface, tends to resonate better than if it's a rough, porous surface. So like wood, for example, it's more mellow because it's porous, as opposed to like a slick plastic. And then, so material, texture, length, like the length of the tone board is equivalent to, say, the CCs in a motor. What do the gearheads say? There's no replacement for displacement, or there's a thing. It's like you can only make a block perform as big as the block is, and a duck call's the same way. You can only make it as loud as the size of the tone board and the proportion of the holes. So it's really a horn, like a trumpet or a trombone.
So you think of it like an instrument.
It's 100% an instrument. Yeah. And in fact, speaking of instruments, you'll never find a good duck call maker that can't sing. It's the oddest thing, but it's absolutely musical. And to make a duck call play well, you got to be able to play all the notes on the from top to bottom. And a guy or a girl that is not musically inclined and can't hear those notes is not able to tune their call to produce those notes.
Right.
And so, you want odd thing to do at a trade show, walk up to a call maker and ask them to sing Amazing Grace.
Yeah.
Ask them to sing a song for you. If they can't sing that song, you probably shouldn't buy
that. we ain't gonna put you on the spot right here. But when we get through, I'd like to hear you hit a note. I ain't gonna lie. That's pretty interesting. I've never heard it put that way, but when you think about it, it is an instrument. You're playing it.
It's 100% an instrument. It works exactly like a flute. Really is the most similar. I'm sorry, a clarinet is the most similar instrument because it has a mylar reed, and you're blowing air across that reed, and then out a horn on the end. And so, anyways, the shape and proportion of all those things is how you affect the sound.
So how do you approach perfecting it? Like, is it? And I guess that goes down to the tuning. Is it about the sound, the craftsmanship, the materials it's made out of, or is it just a mixture? Or
so. Good question, and I'm going to turn it back around on you. I think, to be honest, the business side of it is more about the community that you build around your brand than it is about whether or not you're making the perfect quack. Because what we're selling is flavors of ice cream, just like you're selling flavors of barbecue.
Yeah.
And everybody's got a different preference. So we don't necessarily make the flavor that everybody prefers. But there's a lot of people that prefer it. And so we try to make a duck call that's as close to what we think is perfect as possible. And we try to, the highest thing that we're trying to do is be consistent and do that over and over, because they're just a tool and they don't last forever.
That's right.
And so what matters most is not whether this one duck call is the perfect duck call. What matters is that if you like this duck call, you can tell your friend you like that duck call, and I can send your friend the exact same thing. And so the call makers who make a living at and who rise to the top are the ones who can be very consistent and do the same thing over and over and over. And so that's not to downplay the quality of the sound, because that does really matter. But the ability to replicate that over and over, that's where the real science comes in.
Yeah. That took that deeper than I ever thought it would, honestly. I'm not going to lie. So when you reach for a call, are you grabbing one that's one of yours off the shelf, or do you have certain ones that these are my old faithful, my reliables? I love the way they sound.
I got a little bit of all of them. Probably like you got, 50 smokers, and you like them all for different reasons. I at various times in my adult life, I've been a really avid collector of calls, so I really kind of geeked out about the history of it. I love thinking about the old guys who had to do it various ways and didn't have the kind of tools and machinery that we are fortunate to have access to. And so I like blowing those calls and the kind of the sounds they make, and thinking about how different that is from the sound that the current call makers are making. But my hunting call is an XL. It's a Brute XL is our model. And it's actually I have an old barrel that, the laser engraver guys use to set up the laser engraver, and it's got tattoos all over it.
Yeah.
I call it my tattooed girlfriend, because my wife doesn't have any tattoos. So. It's kind of ugly duckling.
Well, let's talk a little bit about hunting.
Yeah.
Jacob, you want to get in on this?
Oh, yeah. What you want to know?
Tell me about one of your most memorable hunting experiences.
Waterfowl or turkey?
Oh, either one, brother. We're hunting.
Man, I mean, I'll break it down the way I always break it down. If I love duck hunting for one reason, I love turkey hunting for another.
Yeah.
For me, duck hunting has become, a time to spend with my dad. It's all about spending that time with him. If we get ducks, that's just a bonus. So my dad, just to give y'all a background, as a farmer. So he's been in ag his entire life. So duck season has forever and always been the only time of the year that he's doesn't have a crop in the ground, so he's not so stressed out, and he's not, thinking about, his business, and so he's able to just let loose a little bit. So
that's right.
My memories of waterfowl hunting really isn't about the amount of ducks we've killed on certain hunts. It's always been spending that time with him. And just going to Arkansas and going to camp and getting ducks, but then coming back and being able to cook and watch college football and, have a cold one, just really fellowship, right. And that's what it's all about for me in the waterfowl space. Now, turkey hunting, I'm a little different. It's still a challenge to me. It's a chess match. I like to hunt alone or with one other guy, max, and my dad doesn't even turkey hunt. So, as far as memories go, I've got a pretty good one. We woke up one morning. This was over in Arkansas, and we knew there was some chances of some storms coming the night before, and we woke up and just huge wad of red and yellow all over the map. But it looked like it was going to stall out. We had a couple hours to go, so we decided to get on up, get the gear on, let's go. And no sooner than we got out there and set up, I mean, the bottom just dropped out. Some of the harshest pops of lightning and thunder coming in, pouring down rain. But fortunately for us, the ducks had already gotten up to head to feed. And as soon as that storm hit, they were coming down. It didn't matter what spread or what call you had. They wanted cover. So, I mean, we limited it out in half an hour. I mean, granted, there was only about 4 of us, so it didn't take, we didn't have the number of people. But still, we killed our ducks in like 30 minutes and headed back to
in a thunderstorm.
Yeah, back to the shop. So, that was probably one of my wildest memories hunting.
You're exactly right about that fellowship and stuff like that. Because one of my best duck hunts was I limited out just kind of like you said. It was just one of those mornings, and it was that fast, and I was by myself. Well, I shot my 4 mallards and cleaned up with a couple of junk ducks, or not junk ducks, but just something off ducks. And I was looking around. I was like, man, it took me longer to throw the decoys out than it did to shoot these birds, and I have nobody here.
Yeah.
Nobody to share this with. I wish I had 10 guys in the pool with me, to be able to shoot this like this. And it just, but that's not one of my most memorable hunts. It's just when we didn't kill anything and somebody just done something completely ignorant, fell off a stool or lost their teeth in the duck blind or something.
That happened. My brother sneezed his teeth right out of his head. He needed some bridge work done. And look, he was so upset. He said, we're going to have to go get some saws and pry bars. We got to get these boards up out of this blind we was in. He could see the teeth they were down. He said, man, that costs too much money. He said, that's thousands of dollars laying there. This is the front row of first teeth. And we ended up chopsticking 2 sticks and getting them up in between the boards. Yeah. And I couldn't talk him into putting them back in his mouth. I think he carried them to the dentist. But I was like, you ain't a man if you don't just stick them, rinse them off, stick them back in your mouth. Yeah. We got ducks to kill. That's right. But no, that's kind of what led us to starting this Buck Junkie thing. It was the camp lifestyle. Mm-hmm. That was to us. I mean, I didn't grow up duck hunting, but we were fortunate enough to get to deer hunt some, but it was always about, of course you want to shoot a big buck. That's what everybody wants to do, but we wanted the fellowship, the taking care of the land, the habitat management, the cooking, all that tied in to me is what makes hunting fun and want to do it memorable and spend it. Kind of sounds like you got started with your dad and uncle.
Absolutely.
Same type thing. It was a lifestyle.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, y'all both said that so well. It's crazy how many important, life-changing conversations I've been a part of because of we started the morning together hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it happens in the truck. Sometimes it happens years down the road. But, I look around at my little network of my very most close friends. They're all people that I hunt with.
Yeah.
They're people that I care about the very.
You chose to be around. You want to be part of it. Yeah.
So that the camaraderie and the friendship definitely, it's definitely the.
I want to know what that first duck camp was like that y'all had.
Oh man. When I was really little, the first kind of place that my dad and my uncle had was on the Langell River, and there was not a place to stay. So they drove back and forth from the house. And there was a little shed that people stayed in, but there were 5 or 6 grown men sleeping in 400 square feet.
Yeah.
My dad was like, there's absolutely no way we're sleeping in there with those folks. And then from there, that kind of led to, we're going to get a camp, a place to sleep over there, and it was actually I think it was in 1982, the World's Fair came to Knoxville. It was in the early 80s. And they set up all these single wide trailers that were basically modular hotel rooms. So they were in banks of 6 rooms, and they were, I don't know, maybe they were 60 feet long. And when the World's Fair left Knoxville, they left them all, and the city sold them. The city of Knoxville sold them basically in an auction. And one of the members of that duck club did some road paving work, and he found out about them and got them all, had some trailers, and he hauled them over there. So we had these rows of, it looked like a prison camp. I mean, it was rough. But everybody had one queen size bed and a little shotgun shower and toilet. And so my dad and I slept in a queen size bed together until he was not sharing a bed with me anymore.
That reminds me of those FEMA trailers. I remember after Katrina, they got
it was,
and in camps. Everybody's deer camp had 2 or 3 FEMA trailers that they got on the low.
I had one, 100%.
Well, how's it changed over the years now? What's it like now?
You
still rough it?
No, it's changed for the better. I would say, well, one, I've been very fortunate to have some friends who've been really successful and have great places. And so, my friends make fun of me that I've retired from the public land life and country club hunting now, but, not because of my good successes, but because of my friends' good successes and just by merit of friendship. But, no, most of my hunting now, my dad and I have built a place there at his house, and that's really special just because we can all be there.
So it's like home.
And so it feels a little bit like home. My folks built this place a little over 20 years ago, and I was already grown. So I have a brother and a sister, and I'm the only one who didn't get a bedroom in that house.
Oh.
Which is okay. But now that it's duck camp, I spend a lot of time giving my mom a hard time for not building me a house that they built, But camp feels like family now for me. And that's been really special transition because through most of my adult life and like building this business, camp was a rough collection of grown men, not a lot of kids around, And,
You're really building bonds there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but camp feels like family now, and so I really appreciate the ability to do that.
So do you still? I know I've heard podcasts you've been on. I heard you talk about it before about how you grew up public land hunting. Yep. It really wasn't private land. Do you still enjoy going and standing in public timber? Or?
Some.
I
don't have enough medication prescriptions for the current state of public hunting in Arkansas, but I do really enjoy it. I do miss it a lot, but more than anything, to be honest, work keeps me pretty tight to the house. And so it's not that I don't enjoy going over there. It's just that, from Somerville, we're 2.5 hours to any of the really good blooded timber. And so it needs to be kind of a long weekend. It used to be an everyday thing because I could get up at 2 and get over there and get back and get to work, but kind of too old for 2 a.m. multiple days.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Racing to a hole. I mean, that gets over there, man.
But I am fortunate to have some good young buddies that will send a text message. You need to drag your friend over here tomorrow.
So y'all have hunted in a lot of different places. What's one of your most favorite places to go actually hunt at in the country?
That's a good one.
That's a great question. I mean,
he don't want to say because we all going to go.
I mean, I'm just going to categorize. Yeah, I'm definitely not giving
it's cool to categorize it if you need to.
I mean, I definitely love shooting ducks in flooded timber. There's absolutely nothing like that. But probably my favorite is I love late September in Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just something special about dry ground, dry air. And after the summers that we have around here, hoodie weather, Carhartts, like not having to have a bunch of technical gear, not having to have waders on, just, tennis shoes and blue jeans and a hoodie. That's pretty spectacular.
Yeah. So I've never been dry field hunting. I mean, is there a lot of it around like close to us here that you can do dry field?
No, not for ducks. I mean, a duck will feed on dry ground any time that he needs to. He's not afraid to, but he's also one of the lazier critters that the good Lord made. I mean, he's not going to go any further than he has to.
That's right.
To feed. And so one of the main reasons in Canada that ducks dry feed is just because there's not a lot of food in the water that they're roosting on or that they're, loafing on, especially as the weather starts to turn. So like early in September when it's really warm, they'll sit on that water and eat the invertebrates and little bugs and stuff. But as the crop starts to come out, those ducks want crane. And they're trying to bulk up, for their migration. And so they'll start rolling off that water in the afternoons and early in the morning, and they'll pick crane behind the combine, just like they would here. It's just that we flood our stuff because it's flatter. But so there's not, I mean, every now and then a good freeze, you might shoot some ducks on dry ground around here, but duck feels a lot safer on water, so he ain't going to dry ground unless he's got to.
Yeah, I get that. I understand that. So when y'all are hunting, you said you like hunting in timber and stuff like that, but you also like hunting, the open grain fields and dry fields, stuff like that. Is y'all's calling sequences any different from the timber here to going up there? Or any?
A little bit. I mean, when you're hunting a feed on the prairie, it's a different scenario than when you're hunting. Typically, when you're hunting in the woods, you're not hunting ducks that are coming to a feed. You're hunting ducks that are loafing there, hanging out. You're hunting ducks that are acting like rabbits. They're just coming to cover.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're hunting a feed, you're hunting a spot that a duck is programmed to go to and eat. You saw him there eating there the day before. And so when you're hunting a feed, it's more about the scout than it is the calling that you're doing. Whereas when you're hunting a loafing spot or cover like you would in the woods, you're really hunting the idea that this is a safe spot for a duck to be and not this is where you get your belly filled. So I mean, you definitely call different. Like if you're in the woods and you're hunting cover, you're going to be really loud. Ducks can't see they can't see your spread as well. And the ducks come into the call more than they are, say, in an open field.
Yeah.
Or, on an active feed where they can see your spread, they can see everything, and they already know where they're coming. So the scout becomes more important than the actual calling.
Okay, so you're calling kind of mild when you're out in those fields, and pretty heavy when you're in that timber, just trying to get their attention and let them know that you're down there.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
I was always, I've duck hunted a good bit, and I don't know that I've always done it right. Pretty sure I hadn't, and it was always the opposite. We was always soft calling in the woods, and we get out in those big fields and stuff, and, buddies of mine, they're just hail calling at these ducks, and, it makes sense now. You explain it like that.
I mean, and the kind of field hunting you're describing down here is more of a traffic than it is a style hunting than it is in Canada where you're actually hunting a feed. So when the ducks are coming to a spot to feed, there may be 5,000 or 6,000 ducks coming to a half acre in the middle of a field.
Oh.
You don't have to do much calling right there. You need to be on the right spot.
Right.
But like a traditional flooded rice field or flooded bean field, like here in the Delta, you're just trying to get ducks' attention flying by.
Yeah.
And so you probably would call different, for that. The other thing I'd say plays into how you call is pressure. So a lot of the flooded timber that we hunt in Arkansas it's dense timber.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of little gaps and blowdowns and stuff that people are hunting. And so there'll be because it's dense timber, there are a lot of places where somebody can set up, and it's really crowded.
Yeah. And
so one of the things that's always made our calls effective and popular is that they're really loud. So you can get a duck's attention, hang on to him, not lose him, and it's a little counterintuitive. You're saying more to that duck than you'd like to be saying, but if you don't get it done quick, somebody else is
going to shoot at him.
Yeah, shoot at him or pitch him something he likes better.
So, do you think you see more people in the woods now duck hunting than in years past?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not a full blown conspiracy theorist, but I do subscribe to what Mark Twain said about numbers. There's lies, damn lies, and then there's statistics.
Yeah,
and I don't care what the government says. There's more people hunting right now than there's ever been, which is great. I mean, that's what we.
Yeah,
it's great for the industry. Yeah,
great for the industry. It's great for the sport. I mean,
do you see that steady ticking up, or what do you?
Yeah, I do. Don't know for how long.
Yeah,
I think the thing that's discouraging about that is that I think the number of people that are hunting per capita is down. I think 50 years ago it was a higher percentage of the overall population that hunted than there is now. So while there's more hunters today than there ever have been, it's a smaller sector of the actual overall population, which is alarming because when you look around and realize we're in a pretty small percentage of people that care about this lifestyle.
Yeah.
Well,
we better take care of it.
Well, that's what I was getting into conservation on that. Because every time you see a report, it's like, oh, duck numbers are down. Duck numbers are down. They're not what they were last year. They're not what they were 5 years, 10 years ago. So without people getting into it that care about that conservation side of it, that's what's really going to impact what the numbers are from years to come.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what are y'all doing in the conservation line? I know you're a big, proponent of it and do what you can. What's some things that Rolling Thunder gets into?
That's a great question. And we do a couple of things. I'd say first and foremost, we try our best to support the conservation agencies, Ducks Unlimited, Delta Waterfowl, NWTF, Turkeys for Tomorrow. I wasn't born yesterday. And as my grandmother would say, I also didn't fall off the turnip truck. I realize those organizations are not perfect, but they do more good than they do bad.
Yeah.
And they especially do more good than bad at the political government level. I mean, they're out there lobbying for things that me and you need to be mowing our 4-wheeler trails and keeping camp cleaned up. Like we're not lobbyists, right?
Yeah.
So I think they're doing good, and we try to support them as best we can. We have a couple different series of calls that we do, a portion of that proceeds goes to those organizations. And then secondly, I would say we really subscribe to the model that we've watched and grown up around that Mossy Oak supports. And that is just bloom where you're planted. If all you've got is access to 10 acres, then it's public. Like you can figure out ways to make that public better. It's instead of comparing yourself to everybody else and go, man, his place is so much nicer than mine. I think what we need to think about as sportsmen is how do I make what's been given to me better? The kind of the Boy Scout mantra, leave it better than you found
it.
That's right.
No
trace, but leave it better than you found it. And so that's where I've found myself here lately is the combination of wanting to make sure that I created an environment that my kids could learn how to hunt in that was not only safe, but enjoyable and kind of passed on the kind of family and faith and heritage and kind of the things that we all really core values we care about. What we've done is we've taken a small farm that my dad and I bought years ago there at his house, and we've tried to hold some water in some spots that are low, and we've left some crop, and we've kind of tried to, we've literally tried to build our own place.
Yeah.
Not to try to rob ducks from somebody else, but to do two things: create some additional habitat where there wasn't some habitat, and create a place that we can pass on the sport that we love.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's critical in what everybody's doing. It's making it better, like you said it. If you make it better than it was when you got there, and improving that habitat is probably the easiest way that we can all do it. You don't have to have a lot of fancy equipment stuff. There's all kinds of stuff you can do, and just not hunting the birds sometimes, giving them a place to sit. Yeah. I mean, that's a big thing, because I know with our farming practices in Mississippi, the farming practices have changed. The farmers have gotten so good. There's so much technology in it that we just don't. We've got all these fields leveled, and they can put, so much water wherever it spreads the ducks out. There's so much for them. Well, it's really changed the habitat they had. And Mikey, you did a lot of hunting back in the day down in the Delta, and it's totally different now than what it was. We're seeing, I don't know if it's flyway changes or if the ducks are just going where they have safety. They've got food and they don't have to work too hard. I mean, that's kind of what it amounts to.
And that was one of my questions for you. Is your thoughts on that? Those, that I don't know how much you've duck hunted right here in the, Mississippi Delta, right around the Mississippi River. But, I was telling Malcolm about this the other day. There was back in the late 90s and stuff when I started duck hunting. I bought a house right up on the bluff, and I could sit at my house and I could see the ducks across the Delta as far as you could see, just masses and masses of them. I mean, hundreds of thousands of geese, ducks, and all that. I can go to that same spot now in the same time of the year, about November, December, and you're lucky if you see a couple wads of ducks fly down through there. And I don't know what really changed all that.
Yeah, I get asked that question a lot. Has the flyway shifted west, or has it? Is it different? And I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I have a couple of friends that are old guys that have been shooting ducks in Oklahoma, flooded timber their whole life, and their daddies were doing it before them. And so there's a part of me that thinks that those of us that live here in the Delta, kind of in the Mid-South region, that we're starting to hear about Oklahoma and we think the grass is green on their side. But the truth is 20 years ago, they were still doing it better than they're saying the same thing. They think the flyway shifted this way, and so part of me thinks it's social media, and we're just humans, and we think, man, somebody else got it better than us.
Yeah.
The other side of it is, man, I see stuff getting developed all the time.
All the time.
Family farms go from 5,000 acres to 500 acres to, 10, 50 acre lots to, 100 5-acre lots. I mean, so I can see both sides of the coin. And when you start, you build 20 or 30 acres that you can flood and plant corn and have 200 bushels of acre corn, and then you flood it and you hold 4,000 or 5,000 ducks, and all your neighbors will tell you that you're running duck hunting.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you said, you can go to places that historically have always had ducks and not see them. And so my argument with the neighbor is, well, what are you doing to try to give back to the duck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
I mean, he's not got, switchblade knives and 9mm to defend himself. Everything's trying to eat him from the time he's an egg until the time we shoot him. And so I tend to enjoy the good feeling of possessing them as much as killing them.
Yeah.
More. So I think, I don't know what's happening with the flyway. I wish I knew.
Well, I don't have a good theory for it either. I just noticed it a lot, in the last couple of years. We've had some places leased down in the Delta and stuff like that. And, a good farmer of ours used to tell us, 15 years ago, I walk out here and didn't even wear any camouflage, just sit on the side of the rice, live in the reeds and shoot a limit of ducks, and we leased it. And I think the whole year we might have killed 20 ducks.
Yeah.
And I was like, what happened?
I'll tell you one observation I've made about that's really more about life than it is about the hunting, but it applies to the hunting. The older I get, the harder it is for me to change.
Yeah.
And it's embarrassing to say that, because I find myself just constantly, like, when I find a type of pair of breeches that I like, I buy 10 of them.
Yeah.
And I get mad when I got to replace those 10. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like an old buck, I guess. You become a creature of habit and you do the same things over, and it becomes really easy to just go, man, it ain't like it used to be, and then kind of give up. And I'm not saying that to fuss at you. I'm saying it as looking in the mirror, because I've kind of on accident, it was not very intentionally, I've surrounded myself with young people in this industry and in my business, and it amazes me how agile they are. There's a new app comes out, man, they got it downloaded and they're mastering it, and I'm still trying to figure out how to, delete an Instagram story.
That's right.
I'm 20 years behind them, and I'm not even an old guy. And so while part of me wonders if the flyway's actually changing, part of me also just wonders if I'm too lazy to go find where they
go. Yeah.
That's
right. It's a
I
big.
get that 100%.
It's a
You're
big
right.
migration. The jerkers travel a lot of ground, so they're going somewhere, right?
They do, and really, honestly, that's why we started going to Canada 20 something years ago. Was, you know, how do you extend your duck season? You got to go where it's open.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So if you had to pick out what species of ducks that's the hardest one for you to kill, what is it?
Ooh, the hardest to kill,
or the most challenging to hunt?
Man, I mean, I'm just kind of partial to a mallard duck.
No greenhead.
I just, I mean, he's not all that hard, but he sure doesn't, like you said, he doesn't like to live in the places that I
like to hunt. That's a challenge. It's a challenge for me. I promise you.
He's picky. He wants to be on somebody else's property all the time.
Well, if you could only hunt ducks or turkeys.
Ooh. That's a tough one. I want Jacob.
Yeah, I need Jacob in on this one too. Ducks or turkeys. Which one would it be?
Turkeys.
Man, if I only could do one ever again, I'd probably have to say the turkey. I mean, it's just, you know, you get out there and it's such a chess match, and you think you know where he is, and you get everything set up, and you sit down, and when you hear that first gobble go off, I mean, it's just, for me, it rattles through my entire body.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but I get to hear the rest of the world wake up, and you do the same thing when you get out there early duck hunting as well. But, man, it's just something about actually sitting on the ground with your back against the tree and to hear that nature and to play that chess match. You know, it's, you know, for me, duck hunting, we're going to go to that same spot regardless. They show up. With turkey hunting, when we're moving, you know, you could think you've got the right spot, the perfect tree, you know where he's roosted, everything, and you know he'll pull a 180 on you and you know make you look like a fool. So just that mental game, that chess match is what drives me and really just love it. So if I could only do one, it would be very hard for me to give up that just chasing that gobbler. It just really would.
Spence, do you have a take on that?
He looks like he does.
You're not going to like my take on it. And people have asked me that for years now, and what I always say is, if the good Lord intended for me to have to make that choice, gobblers and greenheads would do funky things at the same time of the year.
That's right.
That is right.
Luckily, we don't have to make it.
We don't have to make that choice. Yeah. If I had to, I'd choose duck hunting. Yeah. And the reason is because I can share it in a way that I can't with turkeys. And I echo everything Jacob just said. There's an intimacy to turkey hunting that if I was the only person left on the earth and then I had to choose and I was by myself, I'd pick turkeys.
Yeah.
But there's something cool about duck hunting that you can share with other people that are non-hunters. You know, even my wife will go once or twice to a duck blind because we can keep her warm and dry. And as much as she likes springtime, she's not going turkey hunting with me because she's not going to be the reason that I'm cranky the rest of the
day. Heard a lot of those stories. But, you know, my thing is, I don't get a lot of invites to folks' turkey camps. You can get an invite to a duck camp. You ain't never getting it. Ain't nobody saying, let's go to turkey. You know what? Why don't we all go to turkey camp? Yeah. No, that ain't happening.
I got one roosted down here. Come on down.
Come on down. How many times do you got that happen?
We can get y'all some Tennessee birds.
My dad always says his favorite people always ask, you going to travel? You going to, what's your favorite one? He says his favorite subspecies is other people's.
That's right. That's right. Well, so besides duck calls, y'all also make some really, really nice turkey calls. Yeah. You want to talk a little bit about that part of Rolling Thunder?
Sure. We started making turkey calls in the spring of 2011. So we started making duck calls and selling duck calls in October of 10. And right on the heels of that, we started making turkey calls. And we kind of rocked along with that for a while. And in 2019, I guess, I think it was 19, we had the good fortune of meeting Mr. Josh Grossenbacher, who's a gazillion-time turkey calling champion. And he's won just about everything there is to win multiple times. And he's the most prolific call maker, yelper stretcher of our generation. He at the time he was unemployed. The company he was working for had been sold to a bigger conglomerate, and the Wall Street executives decided they didn't need, Josh G stretching latex in a barn somewhere, and they put him on a 1099 retainer and then didn't send him any work.
Yeah.
And through a friend of a friend, inherited the opportunity to hire Josh, and Josh took our turkey call business, has taken it to the moon. I mean, we build a lot of other people's turkey calls through our private label program. And I'm really proud of the Yelpers that we build and the pots that we've designed. And so turkey calls is not it's not nearly as sexy in the industry as duck calls is in its industry, just because turkey hunters are an odd bunch of folks. But
they don't want to tell you what you're using. That's right.
Exactly. All right. Dang sure don't want to tell you what they're using. But that being said, I'm super proud of our turkey brand and the calls that we build there. Josh is the best, man.
So we did have a question that we didn't get to ask, and it was kind of went by us there. But have y'all ever competed in any, or anybody used y'all's calls in a contest before?
The duck calls.
Oh yeah,
either one. Yeah,
both. Yeah. So the cut downs specifically, they started a calling contest circuit, and they have a world's championship that's held every year. It's been in Stuttgart so this started in 2014. There's been 11 years of it. And I think, let me think here, get this number wrong if I don't think, but 6 of the 11 world cut down contests have been won by Rolling Thunder folk. So we're batting just a hair above 50%.
Hey, that's something to hang your hat on right there. I mean, that'll sell you a bunch of calls.
Yeah, we like to say champs live here. That's our slogan. And on the turkey side, we've not yet won Grand Nationals. Hunter Wallace has finished in the top 5 several times. Josh has finished second a couple of times. We've had a lot of really, really close calls, and we won a couple other championships, but not the big one, the Super Bowl Grand Nationals. It'll happen one of these days. So,
well,
contest calling is a big part of what we do.
It is.
We haven't really kind of gone there, but I think to answer your question, we care a lot about contests, and whatever little industry you're in, there's going to be a group of people in that industry that are like the nerds.
Yeah.
I mean, probably like barbecue cooking contests, it's all a good time and everybody's hanging out, but you got 5% of them are just real nerds. And you need those nerds to keep everything, to make it relevant for everybody else. And so we care about the contest. We want them to prosper. And we host a big one at our place every year in September. We used to host one in January. There was a turkey calling contest, but we outgrew our warehouse, and January is a pretty cold time of year. It's a little hard to ask a turkey caller to stand outside and yelp, and it's 30 degrees. They whine about that.
Malcolm's wanting to get into one of the turkey calling contests if y'all ever have one. So.
Come on.
That would be pretty funny.
He's got a pretty good spit and cluck, he does.
Fly down. It's more of a fall down. I've got a fall down.
You got a fall down cackle.
Fall down. Well, so and maybe Jacob, you could talk about this a little bit, but I'm interested to know what some of y'all's strategy is for getting the brand message out. Like, how do y'all attract new customers? I mean, I know you put calls in people's hands and you want people shooting ducks coming to, but what's some of the things that Rolling Thunder does as a company to get the word out?
I mean, well, first and foremost, things like this
podcast.
So, I mean, we have our own podcast and networking with guys like you, just like when we asked you to come help us with our golf scramble and this summer, we knew that was an opportunity to cross paths with you guys and what you guys got going on with Buck Junkies and how to barbecue right and everything. But then the second biggest thing, outside of, online sales that we're currently in the middle of our second block is trade shows. So this year we actually hired what's called the Road Dogs, a couple boys fresh out of college, to help learn the ropes of inventory management and backlogging and how to load a trailer and, do it efficiently to where everything fits and how to go set up the booth and all of that. Because, we learned after years past, like if everybody from the shop does that and you got to leave out, Tuesday or Wednesday of that week and set all that up. Well, first off, you're just tired by the time the actual trade show happens. And then now you've got the core production team that's at the shop out of production for 3 or 4 days a week. So Spence had a great idea of doing what we called the road dogs and kind of treat it as an internship to get those guys into this industry. So that's been extremely well for us this year. I think they're on their 15th or so show this year. This past weekend was DUX.
Yeah, they did 8 in February and March. So they were every weekend, February through the first weekend of April. Then they took April and May, June off. They started back up right after 4th of July, and they've been every weekend. So it'll be another 8. I think this is 16 coming up. And they'll do some PR events as well.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great idea. It's taken years off of my life.
How many of those have you personally been to?
Oh,
this year,
half of them.
Half
probably.
of you're hands on with it. Yeah.
I shouldn't be. I should be. I should. One of my weaknesses is I'm kind of a control freak, and that's if anybody's still listening knows me very well, they're going to roll their eyes and say that was the understatement of this whole episode. I have a hard time letting go of things, but it's been good to have them because in years past, Jacob's point is right. We really built this business off of grassroots marketing in trade shows. We go places and meet people, and every time we do, just like a politician, you're knocking on doors, they're meeting people, and you're building fans, and you're building people that believe in your brand. And my wife really, she didn't like it, but she bought into that early on, and we tried it. We've, every July and August for the last 15 years, we've done all of the major trade shows that we could possibly do, and it's definitely helped.
And I'm sure that boosts up the direct to consumer.
It does,
sales.
And it supports the dealers too. If we can make one fan, that fan in that area doesn't. And when I say fan, I don't mean like a movie star kind of a fan. What I mean is just a believer in the brand, somebody that likes the products that we're making. That guy doesn't hunt by himself. He's got 5 or 6 or 8 buddies, and so he's going to go home and tell everybody, and then they're going to be led to find the stuff in our dealers or online. So it kind of creates a whole ecosystem of itself, an economy, and so.
Well, one of the things I thought, and when y'all reached out to us to get a part of you, we knew Rolling Thunder. I didn't blow duck calls because I'm not a duck call man. But I love the turkey calls. But y'all reached out and y'all were doing a charity golf scramble for the Carl Perkins Center. I wanted you to talk a little bit about let's get some awareness out there about what they're doing and how you got involved with that and what y'all have going on there in Somerville, where you're from.
Well, the short answer to that is there is an organization in West Tennessee called the Exchange Club Carl Perkins Center. And it's a child advocacy center that basically it's a nonprofit that comes alongside the government and law enforcement to advocate on behalf of child abuse victims. And that could be kids that are beat up, or it could be kids who are sexually abused, or it could be kids who are just neglected, all different types of abuse, but specifically abuse that becomes criminal.
Yeah.
And so one of the people in my life that I cared about the most, I found out when I was 17 or 18 years old, had been abused when they were a child. And it was a real eye-opening experience to me as a young man that the world was a cruel place. And when I learned later in life about what the Carl Perkins Center does, those two experiences really connected themselves, and I saw an opportunity to try to help out, somebody. And we just really believe in the mission that they that they have. We really believe in the quality of the work that they do. And if you've ever kind of had a connection to someone who's been an abuse victim, nobody's more helpless than a child.
That's right.
Who can't defend themselves. And then also nobody's more helpless than a child who can't defend themselves and then has to go and participate in prosecuting their offender. It's kind of doubling down on the helplessness of it. And so the whole idea that a 9 or 10-year-old kid would have to take the stand in a court of law full of a group of adults and explain a horrific incident in front of their abuser. If you've raised kids, if that doesn't hit you in the gut,
that's right.
That's right.
You something's wrong with you, because it's hard enough to get your kids to look another an adult in the eye and shake their hand and say, "My name is," and introduce themselves. The idea that a kid would have to admit what happened to them is just, that's a real gut punch. And so all that heavy stuff to say that when we found out about this organization, we just wanted to help. And so Lindy and I, my wife and I, first learned about it through our church and some friends that helped and worked there occupationally. And we they have these little cubbies with teddy bears, and so you give a couple $100 and you get a cubby. It's got your name on it. So a kid picks that teddy bear, and then they, it gets replaced, and you do that every year. And we did that a little bit first couple of years, and then when this golf scramble idea came along, it had nothing to do in the early days with child abuse or the Carl Perkins Center. It literally was just that phase in life where I went from slumming around in the public woods with a bunch of, roughneck knuckleheads to like, I should probably spend more time with my family, and I should probably try to take my kids something more. Like, as we all kind of grew out of that phase of college duck hunting, we really just wanted to find a way to spend some time together as hunting buddies during the off season. So 7 years ago, the first golf scramble happened, and it was literally just a collection of duck hunting buddies. And we decided we'd raise some money so that we could pay out the winners. And we did our math wrong. And after we paid out all the winners, we had a couple $1,000s left over. And we all got to talking about it. And we were like, there's no way we're giving this money. We're not giving this money back to the winners already got what we said they were going to get. Like, we got to do something with this money. We're not putting it in our pocket. So we gave it to the Carl Perkins Center, and they were shocked and elated and grateful, and one thing led to another. And when you give a nonprofit some money and it's a small one with a small budget, they kind of expect it the next year. That thing just kind of took on a life of its own.
Well, this year it was huge. It was huge. It was awesome. The people that were there participating were great. It was a family event.
Yep.
We were lucky enough to get to come cook some food for y'all, but you had some awesome music, and everybody got to see kind of the headquarters.
Yeah.
And so if you haven't been to Somerville, Tennessee to check your place out, you definitely need to stop in there and check it out, because it's part retail shop, but man, it's more duck lodge. It seems like y'all have built a place there and I was amazed going through it, how all the operations happen there. If you want to just tell folks about what's going on there.
It's kind of, I tell people, it's kind of like if you took a fraternity house and a duck camp and a manufacturing business and a neighborhood bar and stirred it all up in a bowl and made a casserole. That's about the world we live in.
How often do y'all have events there?
We try to do live music once a month, just so that we can kind of foster some community and hang out with our friends. And it really it helps us have a life outside of duck hunting and turkey hunting. We all have families, and so it allows us to kind of combine family life with what we love and our work. And so we try to do that once a month, and the golf scramble is kind of our biggest one every year, just because we do dinner and music the night before. And
I highly recommend when y'all put that out next year, you got to let us know.
It'll be the first weekend in June.
Yeah. If anybody's interested, if you're a golfer, you want to come be a part of it for a great cause, man, that's a reason to come to Somerville, Tennessee, and hang out.
Yeah, and we really appreciate you guys, ponying up and helping us cook. In previous years, it's been me and a hodgepodge of smokers and your YouTube videos. But I've heard from enough people this year that your barbecue was better than mine.
Oh, well, I can't take all the credit. My team was there doing the majority of it. So, but a little bit, I've seen the videos and stuff y'all do, the hunting videos. We ain't touched on that, but where can folks watch y'all's hunting videos and the stuff you have out there, Jacob?
Man, we're pretty much all over the place, but the easiest, most, I guess, organized way to view them would be head to YouTube, go to the Rolling Thunder YouTube channel, and we've got pretty much everything on there, from hunting videos to products to even how to call videos. But there is a playlist on there that's called Just Hunting, and I mean, you can literally start from episode 1 and run all the way up. I think we're getting ready to publish 111.
Mm-hmm.
Their next one is episode 111. So over 100 episodes on YouTube of just hunting in that playlist. And then, like I said, the how-to videos. We put out a sound file of every call we make, whether it's duck or turkey. So those are on there as well. And go check it out.
Give that a subscribe. And check out the Pike Spence. Do you still host the podcast most of the time, or?
Last week I did, and I hope that we'll get one recorded this week.
Yeah.
So, we call it the Rolling Thunder Podcast, and it's on all the channels. I don't know what the right word is. RSS feeds.
Yeah. You can get it anywhere you can get a podcast.
That's right.
That's the way I tell them. You can get it anywhere you can get a podcast. Exactly. Well, before we get out of here, I got some rapid fire questions. Would y'all like to tackle these real fast?
Let's do it.
Just quick as answers you can get. We don't have to elaborate. We're going to run through them.
All
right. You've already told us your favorite duck to hunt, so I'm going to let Jacob take the first one. Favorite duck to hunt?
My favorite's got to be a mallard.
All right. Best time of day to hunt ducks, morning or late afternoon?
Morning.
All right, morning. Favorite duck call color?
Black.
Black. All right. I saw some white ones out there. I didn't know if biggest challenge during duck season. That's might be
sleep deprivation.
That's good. Water or land blind? Which do you prefer?
Water.
I kind of like dry ground.
Dry ground. All right. Single or double reed calls?
Single.
Single. Right. Lord gave the duck one tongue.
So here's one. Favorite snack to take to the duck blind? This is a fat boy. When I had to answer, I could answer that for you. Mine's probably going to be a Little Debbie.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go with something little Debbie, because anything else, when it's too cold out there, it gets hard. You can't take Starburst or anything out there.
Early season or late seasons?
I'm an early season guy.
Early, okay.
See, I was going to say late.
All right. Well, I think I know.
I tend to burn myself out.
Calling or decoying, which is more fun?
Calling.
Yeah, calling.
You got to say that. You make a duck call.
That's right.
All right, solo or with friends?
With friends.
With friends.
And lastly, the one piece of gear you can't duck hunt without.
A duck call.
Duck call.
Oh, all right, guys. Well, look, is there anything you'd like to tell folks? We know you can find you at Rolling Thunder everywhere, I'm assuming, all the social platforms.
I think, unless there's new ones, which there are, but the major ones, Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok occasionally, YouTube. Man, we're just grateful to make a living doing what we love. Like I can promise you that's not lost on me. I got lots of friends that get up and have to drive an hour to work in the city and sit in a cubicle, and they make good livings, but I get to go to work and hang out with a bunch of duck hunters that I really enjoy being around and work with my family. And I know Jacob feels the exact same way. Like we're blessed, man. We're living our dream. And 10-year-old Spence would tell you were lying.
It doesn't make work so bad, does it? And it does. It definitely feels like a family, man. Y'all have a great thing going on. We appreciate y'all and admire y'all, everything you're doing, man. And just keep it up. And you're welcome to come back and hang out with us whenever you want to.
It goes both ways, for sure.
All right. Well, guys, we appreciate y'all tuning in today to the Buck Junkie Podcast, and we will be back next week to do it again. Till then, we gone.